Hi guys, it's Alec here. Okay, so today I'm going to spend some time on creditors analysis, or specifically, let's call it the whole supplier environment when it comes to managing the suppliers. So, in a creditors department, some of the big things you need to do is manage those balances and the transactions that come in and out of a creditor's account, and also just understanding what makes up a balance and then reconciling it back to the credit statement. But often when we use a Pastel database, and that's the database I'm going to focus on, is it's difficult to basically comprehend and to work with that data because it's not always put in it's not always put forward simply, and it's not very manageable. So I'm going to firstly jump into this demo environment. This is a demo database. And this is I've opened the supplier balances. So the way you do it, you just go to view and you go into suppliers and just basically go balances. There's no real kind of like selection that you can make. You can only select by supplier, description, category, but you don't have a date that you can basically go and select in this view in Pastel. But this is what it gives you. And basically, it's just telling me these are the suppliers that I have, and I'm getting a balance here, a rolling balance per period. Okay, if I want to see detail, then I need to click into the one of the the credits I actually want to see more detail on. And if I go into this one, for instance, I'll get a list of transactions that make up that balance. And if I want to see anything more, I actually need to click on the blue drill down lines and then see what that is made up out of. So that is kind of like the whole process. In this case, this is the utility supplier telling me what exactly has happened on the supplier. And it is a quite a cumbersome process because it's difficult for our eyes to see, and also it's not easy to add up here, and it's not easy to see the flow of transactions. So what I'm gonna kind of like open up here is just to show you guys. I first of all, I love Pastel. I mean, I think it's a great database. It's a great tool. It builds a pervasive SQL database. So I'm a big fan of the software, but I'm a data scientist as well and an accountant. So I love reporting, and I do find it quite cumbersome to do proper reporting out of Pastel directly. So MyBI plugs onto any Pastel database. Right. So what does it do for us? So let's go over into this creditors analysis. So let's first see, does this balance? Okay. So here we've got some creditors and we've got a balance there of 1.138 million. And I haven't sliced anything as well. So just meaning I'm just showing everything. And let's see here. If we close this, are we balancing 1.138 million? Yeah. So we're balancing. That means we've got these creditors, and I've drilled down into this one specifically. So the difference between a data tool and this environment is it doesn't take you away from the actual data. So there's the utilities that we just saw, 31,879. So let's have a look, 31,879. But the difference is we don't have to go into the detail. We can just see it here. And visually it immediately helps you not to be popping away from everything, because you actually still have all of the creditors in your visual. So that means you can do a reconciliation. And what it also does, it packs it from oldest at the bottom to newest at the top. Because if you think about it, when you reconcile creditors, what do you reconcile? Well, as you go along, you reconcile the most recent transactions and activities, because you're supposed to roll over every month. And that means the history has already been reconciled and you're just rolling over and then reconciling new transactions, right? So packing the newest at the bottom means I have to scroll all the way to the bottom and kind of like do the most important things that I want to do now by moving away from my immediate view. Whilst something here, you can see that the oldest are packed at the top. I have to go down and get to the new transactions at the bottom, which already I think is a bit difficult. But as I said, I love Pastel. And remember, this is Pastel. It's just reflective of the data tool. So now I can see from bottom to top, if we do now do a normal reconciliation, I can go and see who have I paid, because remember, this balance is 31,879. So we have to say, what in theory has not been paid. So firstly, working with something like colors, saying my payments are shown as a all debits are shown in blue, and my payments are specifically from the cash book cycle, and it's actually highlighted in red. Helps my eye to visually identify what payments have been made. So in theory, only the last few invoices should make up this balance of 31,000. So if I go and I test my theory, I go, well, that's 17,000. That's the one, and the second one, 31,147. Well, sorry, 146. Well, that's very close to that balance. So somewhere something went out slightly. So how can we balance this? All right, so let's have a look from the bottom, all the transactions, and we actually go and see when did it go out of zero. So I'm just going to hold shift and go up here. There's back to zero, there's zero, zero, and so forth. I'm going up until I see that 400 Rand pop out. So let's have a look when we see it pop. Okay, there. It's definitely gone out slightly there. And let's just go up a little bit more. Okay, and it seems like we've started paying on a 30-day cycle over here. So let's maybe see if we can do a 30-day. Oh, there we go. So let's highlight that one, and we can see those two balance. That balances to that. All right, so now we can see, okay, so something has popped out here. We did not pay for the November transaction. We actually paid the December transaction, which is the one that was paid here. Or actually, sorry, the January transaction, 13,615. We paid. Um, that's been paid, but the transaction of November has not been paid. So immediately you can now follow a very simplistic trend to say, but what is outstanding and what does that mean? Well, I need to immediately pay this, obviously. And as a creditors clerk who looks at this visually and can highlight this and can basically tick it off, this helps them to again prepare the pack that needs to be paid. And that's why visualizing your database through a tool that enables you as the user of data or the reviewer of data to logically look at this with color and with logically packing this from the newest to the oldest is massively empowering for a creditor's environment. So this is a very basic example, obviously, from creditor's perspective, but it does point to the fact of why a data tool is so useful. And obviously, you can still copy this into an Excel and enable yourself to say, I just want to, whatever I'm looking at here, I want to copy to Excel. Once you hit that button, you can just say Control N and you paste that over there. Just going to make it big so you can see. And you can also do the same reconciliation over here. You can just say, well, use something like a what do you call it, a checkbox, put that in there and just say, okay, I'm just going to hit spacebar as I reconcile them. Also, it's a nice and simple way to point out what actually has been reconciled. You can even go a little bit further. This checkbox actually is a checkbox that defines a true or false. So that's now on false. You can even see if I go over it, it says false. And if I just tap my space bar, that's now a true, which means I can make use of something like an if function and say, if that, so meaning if it's true, then give me a zero. Otherwise, if it's false, give me that answer. So what you have then, you can basically then quickly reconcile this. So I'll show you. I'm just going to move that over to here and just say, give me that, all those answers, and give me that as the result. So you'll see it's just going to spill out. If it's going to spill down, I just want to create this into a little, into a comma and a decimal so we can see it easier. And all I'm going to do over here, I'm just going to say, give me the total here. So at the top, just give me that hashtag. That's going to add it all up, make that into a nice little a bold so I can see. Now, as I go through it, you'll see, I'll just freeze frame this for us there. Okay, so from the bottom, okay, I'm just going to go and I say, that's all reconciled. That goes to zero, and you'll see the balance at the top reduce. And as we go through it, I'm just going to quickly go through it because I know now exactly which one we didn't pay. So it's that one and the top one. Not that one. That one. Oh, sorry. That one. There we go. Okay. So now I can see, oh, right, these are the two that needs to be actually paid. And I can, if I wanted to use something like a filter function, I can just say, filter this out where that's true. And that'll just give me those two lines of transactions quickly. Just say, oops, I mean where it's false, where it's not true, not true. Uh, let's do that. Apologies. Okay, now it's filtered out only a few lines of transactions for me. It said that one and that one. It's because I haven't actually ticked that one. You'll see it'll just remove, and only those two lines are now still visible. So I can now do a nice, quick little like enhanced tool to say, well, that's all I need to present to my paying team, and that's now been fully reconciled because that balances to my trial balance. And of course, I need to look as a third check to get the creditor's statement to make sure it balances to the creditor statement for completeness purposes, right? All right. So as I said, it's a bit of fun with creditors, and I love Pastel, but I love reporting and making data fun. And I find a tool that clicks onto my Pastel database, like MyBI, a much easier way to work with my data and enhance my ability to, to do something with it. All right, guys, I hope you have a great day. Thanks for taking the time to watch my video, and let me know if you need any further guidance or if you have any questions on your own Pastel database. Would love to help. Okay, cheers, guys.